Toda Rabah Abba, for bringing us into another Shabbat day, Abba Yah, to rejoice, to relax, to reverence and give all praise, honor, and esteem to you, Abba Yah, who sustains us, who orders our steps, Abba Yah, and who protects and blesses us, Abba Yah, with everything we could possibly need. Toda Rabah Abba. And Abba Yah, as we go into the cultural and language study today, Abba Yah, we just ask that you bless us with your Ruach HaKodesh, inspire Moreh Samach in the lesson, Abba Yah. Give us a Ruach of attendance. Give us a Ruach of hunger, Abba Yah, that our zeal may be fed with knowledge, wisdom, and that we may be blessed with understanding. Abba Yah, as we seek the ancient path, we just ask that your word, your Torah, lights the path, Abba Yah, and be a lamp unto our feet. Thawadah Rabah Abba, for bringing us together, allowing us to come together on this platform. And I ask, Abba Yah, that all those that are traveling in to keep your commandment, to come together, Abba Yah, in a holy mikvah, set apart assembly, Abba Yah, on your set apart day, that you bless them with travel, safety, Abba Yah, deliver them to their Knesset, and deliver them back home safely. And while they're all gathered together, Abba Yah, in the four corners of this earth, that you hedge a protection around us, Abba Yah, and bless the assemblies with your Ruach HaKodesh. In all things, Abba Yah, Tob and Ra, we say Toda Rabah Abba. Blessed are you, Yahweh. Blessed is your name, Yahweh. And blessed is he that comes in your name, Yahweh. Halal Yah, Halal Yah. Aman wa Aman.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, amen, amen. All right, Mr. Bakar, we're going to get into some of our cultural studies. All you that have been practicing your Hebrew reading, please continue to practice. We'll be getting back to Hebrew soon. But in this particular cultural portion today, what I would like to focus on is going to be the introduction to the feast days. And we're going to be starting with the Shabbat first. One thing that we do a lot of times when we come to the truth is people recognize that we fellowship on Shabbat, but sometimes we don't put a lot of efforts into revisiting what the Shabbat is all about and what the feast days are all about. And so you're going to find that, of course, in our culture, one of the main things of our culture is going to be, of course, the Torah, which is going to give us the instructions. But the highest day of all days is going to be the Shabbat. Then we have annual days that we have yearly that we're coming up on. So we're about to be entering into the beginning of our feast season coming up shortly. So we're going to be going into an introduction of the feast days. All right. So we're going to be focused on the introduction to the feast days. All right. So, and the importance of the feast days. So we're going to be introducing them as well as talking about the importance of the feast days. Many of us was raised up, in a Christian background or church background. Again, I don't use that term to be offensive. I'm just stating that we come up from more of a Christian mindset and a church mindset. And because there, in the church, no one actually knew the laws. They wasn't teaching these commandments as far as the feast days. And many people that was raised in the church, they went to the church to learn of the Most High. However, many of us never heard of or even understood the feast days or their importance because they weren't being taught. And so in most churches, they don't even know about the feast days. So the purpose of this lesson is to proclaim or to make known the feast of the Most High, to get a better understanding of how to keep them according to Scripture and their importance, to show a parallel between the Old Testament and New Testament in regards to the feast. Okay, so one of the first things I want to start off with is a word for feast in the Scriptures. And one of the words that's used for feast is going to be the word 4150, H4150, which in Hebrew is moed. Moed is single, And then you have Moedim, which is plural. So a Moed is an appointed time. And then you have Moedim, which are going to be the appointed time. So what you have here with Moed or Moedim, these are appointed times that the Most High has set up. So when everyone is keeping the days that man have made, that's not the appointed times of the Most High. So a Moed is an appointed time or an appointed season. And again, that's H 4150. So each feast day has an appointed time. The Sabbath is an appointed time every week, and the other feasts are appointed times in their season. All right. Another word that I want to cover also is going to be the word for sign. Okay, because it's going to be very important. So we want to know the importance of these feasts. So another word I want us to focus on in our talk today is going to be the word sign, S-I-G-N, because in Hebrew, the word for sign is H22 or H226, H226, and it's a mark, a beacon, or a flag, so something that you mark with. And so I know currently many people, even in the churches, have heard terms such as mark of the beast, but what we're going to find out is the importance of these feast days are so very important because the Most High basically can tell how we are marked by the commandments we keep, by the feast days we observe or don't observe. And that's how you are now starting to know if you are marked with the mark of Yah, if you actually mark, or you have the sign of the actual beast, okay? So we're going to be starting off in the book of Leviticus chapter 23. This is a chapter that everyone should get very familiar with, or at least remember. You don't have to remember where every verse is located. Just remember that Leviticus chapter 23 is the introduction to the Moedim, the appointed times of Yah, or what's commonly called the feast days or the holy days, okay? So we're going to be starting with Wayikra or Leviticus 23, and we're going to start with 1.
And Yah spake unto Moses, saying, speaking to the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of Yah, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts.
So again, this is not the law of Moses. We know that Moses went up to the mount to receive the word from the Most High, and he was up there 40 days and 40 nights, and he went to receive all the laws from the Most High and all the instructions on how to lead the people. So the Most High said to Moses, speak to the children of Israel and say unto them concerning the Moedim. So right there, the word Moed, as I was talking about the root word, here's the plural, Moedim, concerning the feast of Yah. So Yah commanded Moses to speak to the children of Israel concerning the Moedim, or the set apart times or the appointed times of the Most High Yah, which you shall proclaim. And again, that word there for proclaim is quara, which means to make known, to broadcast, to let everyone know what are the Kodash, Mikra, or holy convocations. And then the Most High comes back and say, even these are my feasts. So anytime a person is going to church, synagogue, assembly, Knesset, any place of worship, we're actually supposed to come from the word of the Most High. And what happens is in church, they don't a lot of times. And again, we're not trying to be offensive. It is just a false doctrine that's taught a lot of times. Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, and things like that, Valentine's Day, things that we should not even be partaking in, when the Most High told Moses, proclaim his set apart times, his holy days unto the children of Israel. And then he said, these are my feasts, or these are my Moedim. So the Most High is about to get very specific with what his feasts actually are, okay? So again, this is coming from Yah. This is not coming from man. This is coming from Yah. So Yah's going to be very clear as to what his feasts are. All right, verse 3.
6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. You should do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yah in all your dwellings.
So 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest and set apart convocation. You shall do no work therein. It shall be the Sabbath of Yah in all your dwellings. So we've already covered in another portion that the word Shabbat actually means rest. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to go back to it today, but where's the Shabbat first mentioned? The Shabbat is first mentioned in Bereshit, commonly called Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. You're going to see the Shabbat mentioned. And in the mentioning of the Shabbat in Genesis chapter 2, 1 through 3, it tells you that the Most High completed all his work in 6 days, and he ceased from work on the seventh day. Therefore, he rested, which is going to be Shabbat, on the seventh day, and he hallowed it, or he sanctified, or he made it holy. So from the very beginning, the Most High has already given us a specific day, and that day was the Sabbath, and that is a day that happens every seventh day of the week. So the Sabbath is going to be a weekly day, and that's why the term week is Shabuot, and Shabuah, and Shabuot is plural for weeks. So the week is every 7 days. So there is a Sabbath day that we're to observe every 7 day, or every 7th day of every week. Okay, so he starts off with going into the very first feast that he wanted us to know was what? The Sabbath day. Why? Because that is a weekly thing. It happens every week on the 7th day of the week. That day has been set apart, sanctified, and made holy. And that day is the day when you're going to go to learn about everything else, all the laws, how to honor the father and mother. Everything is supposed to be taught on the Sabbath day when people go into the synagogue, church, Knesset, assembly, ecclesia, whichever term one is familiar with. So he started off with the Sabbath day. So one of the reasons why the Sabbath day is so important is because first you must learn how to keep the Sabbath. It is a day that's supposed to be holy. And we've seen here that it said you should do no servile work on it. You should not do any of those things on the Sabbath. Why? It's the day of rest to the Most High, but it goes far beyond just resting. It is also the day of worship, specifically for worship of the Most High. So means shut everything down, and our focal point and our vision should be totally on Yah on that Sabbath day. And so another reason why the Sabbath is so important is because while you're keeping Sabbath or learning how to keep Shabbat set apart, the set apart rules that apply to the Sabbath or the Shabbat day, it applies to the other Moedim, the feast days. So you must first learn how to keep that day set apart and holy. Therefore, when you actually come into learning about the other feast days and their importance, you will understand that they are to be observed a lot like the Shabbat. What you're going to find on all the other feast days is it's telling you to refrain from work. You do no servile work. It is a day of worship at the Most High at his appointed time. Now, there are some different ordinances that we will see as we get more into this each week, that different feast days have different ordinances, but one ordinance that they all share in common is the servile work. There's no servile work. So that is a day of rest, a day that you're off, a day or a time for serving the Most High. So the reason why the Sabbath is of utmost importance is because you must first learn to keep Shabbat before you can even learn how to keep the other feast days. Because other than that, we'll just be observing things, but we won't be actually doing it the proper way if we don't know how to keep it set apart or holy. So first of all, the Sabbath is the first that has been mentioned, okay? And the first mention again of Shabbat or Sabbath is in Bereshit, commonly called Genesis, chapter 2, verses 1 to 3. So I want to go to Shemot 20 and verses 8 through 11, Kanaka, if we could for a moment, which is the book of Exodus. We want to focus on the instructions of Sabbath a little bit. So Shemot chapter 20, did I say chapter 8? I said 20 and 8, right? Yeah, Shemot chapter 20, which is commonly called Exodus 20, and we're going to go from verses 8 through 11.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shall you labor and do all your work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahweh. In it you should not do any work, you nor your son, nor your daughter, your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger that is between your gates. For in 6 days Yah made heaven and earth, the sea, and all them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore Yah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
Okay, so we see here that it's telling us that we are to remember the Shabbat day. And what are we remembering? So the word there for remember is zakar. Zakar means to remember. So there's something that has already been established somewhere. Where have this been established? It's been established from the very beginning. 6 days the Most High created everything. On the 7th day he rested, and then he did what? He blessed that day. He baraked the Sabbath day, and he what? He made it set apart, or he made it holy. And this is the day that he's telling everyone else to remember. So with just basic reading comprehension skills, if we can understand it in Genesis, it said he rested from all his work on the 7th day. And now he's telling us 6 days shall you labor and do all your work, and you shall remember the 7th day. What day is he referencing? He's referencing the day that he himself had already set apart. Not a day that man set apart, but the day that he set apart. And he said this day is to be specifically holy, okay? And it tells you 6 days you can do all your work and all your labor, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yah, your Elohim, not the Sabbath of Moses, not the Sabbath of man or that man created, but it is the Sabbath of Yah, your Elohim. In it you shall not do any work, you nor your son, your daughter, your manservant, maidservant, your cattle, nor any strangers within thy gates. So when Israel is in leadership, righteousness is supposed to be upon everybody. Your servants and no one is supposed to work. Strangers not supposed to work. It is not supposed to be like, and again, I'm not being offensive, but the Jewish community. The Jewish community, a lot of times, they will not break Shabbat, but they will have others do things for them on Shabbat to keep them from breaking Shabbat. That in itself is breaking Shabbat, because the ordinance to a true Israelite is that they observe Sabbath, they're to keep it set apart, and their animals, as well as their servants, everyone is to keep it set apart. So, but like I said, I've heard of stories of some Jewish people, not saying all, but from some testimonies that I've heard from people that lived in New York in Jewish communities or around Jewish people, they would ask them to do things because they wouldn't do it on Sabbath, which is still a violation of Shabbat, because actually it's supposed to be your servants and everything. You should not be trying to cause someone to break Shabbat that does not, and it's not only for Israel specifically, but it's anyone that's under your leadership, or anyone that's sojourning amongst you. So if there's someone that wants to be in your community, they have to follow the same rules of your community. So the Sabbath day is a day of righteousness, is a day for everyone to rest and to worship the Most High that's in fellowship with us. So another specific thing that I do want to point out about, and not only just about Sabbath, but in that commandment, it says 6 days you shall labor. So the Most High is also basically telling us that we should labor for 6 days. So if you don't have any daily duties or nothing going on to provide for your family, the reason why some of these people that's living off the system, and again, I know a system is designed to help people, but whenever a person is living off of a system totally dependent on a system that will provide for them everything, and you're not working for anything, that system is also designed to kind of help you break commandments, because you don't even understand the delight of Shabbat. If you don't go to work to pay your bills like we go to work to pay our bills, you have no idea what we say. Thank Yah, it's Shabbat. If you don't have to worry about food on the table for your babies because you get all these extra stamps and things, and all the stuff that's given to those who don't work while we're trying to work to provide for ours, you will also understand the value of Shabbat, because it is such a refreshing time to actually keep Shabbat. It's a delight and it's a gift that the Most High has given us. But 6 days, we should be doing something else. You should be taking care of your home. You should be taking care of your children or your family. You should be taking care of whatever responsibilities you have, and as well as work. So the Most High is even very specific. The Most High wasn't just lazy. The Most High created, the Most High provided as a father for man before man ever came. So even men and women today, if we're preparing to have children, or if we have children, 6 days, we need to be making sure that our house is what? Provided for. We need to be doing something. And on that seventh day is to be totally dedicated back to the Most High, because in those other 6 days, we've done all the necessary things that we can do to prepare before the Shabbat comes in, whatever work or any servile or service that we had to do to provide for our families to be done in those 6 days. So the Most High has definitely appointed the seventh day. And the purpose of that seventh day is for man. You know, a lot of people think that the Sabbath is a burden, but no, it's actually because we do need a certain amount of rest. We do need a certain amount of shalom or peace. You don't need to be stressed out and just overworking all the time, you know, and that's not what the Most High designed for us. And even not like these long shifts that people have on these jobs now. We worked when that sun was up, that was working hours, and before sun was down, time the work was over back in times past. So the Most High did not want his people to be overworked. So he also created a day of rest, and also a day to say, look, and I want you to be mindful for your health, strength, and your ability to go out to do these jobs that you're doing, because I've given you the ability. So you come together on the seventh day to make sure that you honor me and you esteem my set apart name. Hallelujah. So let's jump to the book of Shemot 31, Kanakya. We're going to the book of Shemot 31, and I will get just a little Brit Kadashah in just a moment, which is the New Testament. But let's jump to the book of Exodus 31, and I want verses 12 through 18. Shemot 31, 12 through 18, which is commonly called Exodus chapter 31, verses 12 through 18.
And Yah spake unto Moses, saying, speak you also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily my Sabbath you shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I'm Yah, that doeth sanctify you.
Hallelujah. So remember, one of the words we covered Moedim, which is appointed time. So it's appointed time that the Most High set for us to worship every week. Then there's appointed times throughout the year, right? And the other word we covered was the word oath, or the word sign. And the sign is something that identifies to the Most High or to us and our brothers and sisters who someone actually is by the way they worship, by the things that they do. So he says, Yah spake unto Moses once again. So this is not Moses' words, it's Yah words. Speak thou unto the children of Israel, saying, verily my Sabbaths you shall guard, or you shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am Yahuwah that do sanctify you. So it is saying that when we keep the Sabbath, it is a sign between us and Yah. It is for us to remember that the Most High is the one who set us apart. The Most High is the one who made us holy. The Most High is the one who gave us the ability. The Most High is the one who blesses us with our homes and everything that we have. And the Most High wants us to remember him on that seventh day. And he said, it's a sign between me and you throughout your generations, meaning the Most High knows who is his or who wants to be his by what they do, by what they observe, by how we speak, how we act, how we dress, and also what's in our hearts. Because sometimes we can do it outwardly, but it's not really in our hearts, but the Most High can see through to our hearts. And so if we want to have the mark of Yah, here we see that this is a mark. So again, the word for sign is mark. We've been tricked into focusing on the mark of the beast, and everybody's around here talking. I mean, we've been way back since 2006, 7. I've been hearing people talking about this chip that's coming, and they're going to put the chip in you, and that's the mark of the beast. So everybody's focusing on this chip that's going to be in you, but nobody still started keeping no commandments. You know, everybody knows that those that go to church, those that don't go to church, everybody can talk about a mark of the beast. So you don't even believe in the Bible, but you believe in the mark of the beast. That's kind of crazy, right? So they talk about the mark of the beast, and everybody can tell you what the mark of the beast is, but the scriptures have already clearly told us what the mark of Yah is. The mark of Yah is keeping the commandments. The mark of Yah is keeping Shabbat. The mark of Yah is keeping his feast days, because he said it should be a mark or a sign, an identifying marker between you and me, that you may remember that I am Yah that do sanctify you, and that by us doing so, the Most High know that we're accepting of him and we are walking as his children. So we are marked with the mark of Yah if we are keeping his commandments and we're observing the days that he told us to. So now, again, not to be offensive. So if someone has said that the Sabbath is done away with, and you can now worship on the first day of the week, and we know that around 312 or whatever it was AD, that Constantine and the Roman Catholic Church did change the Sabbath. That's historical evidence that you can research for yourself to find. So now, because the Roman Catholic Church has started the worship on the first day of the week, that is the church. The church don't have that authority. We see Moses didn't have this authority. Yah commanded Moses when to point to the people, when to worship him, and he said, this is a mark. So can you not see how the adversary in plain sight has been having people marked with the beast all this time? And we were out here talking about a chip. The mark of the beast has already been in existence. Even the term anti-Mashiach or antichrist has already been used. The Mashiach even used those terms. And he said the anti-Mashiach is already with you. So we're waiting for a millennial season when the antichrist is going to come, when the Mashiach himself said the anti-Messiah is already present in the earth. The anti-Mashiach or the anti-Messiah is anyone that opposes the laws of the Most High. And I really hate the way that this sounds, because I know it can sound offensive, but a lot of people, when we were stuck in the religions, in the churches, we were marked with the mark of the beast, thinking that we were serving the Most High, because it's all about what commandments you keep. So to do away with, the law is done away with, and the Sabbath is done away with. Do you see what we've done away with? The mark of Yah. Hallelujah for bringing us back to this understanding. Verse 14, what did you stop at? What did I tell you to stop on that? I stopped you at 14, right? Read on the 14.
You shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from amongst his people.
So the Most High said, you shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy, it is set apart unto you. So he's already made it set apart for us, it's set apart unto you, for you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. So the Most High is also letting us know there are consequences that come along with breaking Shabbat. There are also barakah or blessings that come with keeping Shabbat. Okay, and said, and that soul should be cut off from among his people. Verse 15.
6 days may work be done, but in the seventh day, the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to Yah. Whosoever doeth any work on the seventh day, he shall be surely put to death. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant.
So it says that 6 days do all your work, the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Most High. Israel should always keep it, but whosoever does not keep it shall be put to death. So we do know that in Torah times, in the ancient times, there was the time when Israel was in authority over themselves, that they were actually stoning and putting people to death for breaking Shabbat. But I just want to go into what Akoti Kiara and Hannah was saying last night in their praise report, their testimony about getting closer to Yah and about feeling their relationship with the Most High. It is a spiritual death if we're not keeping Sabbath. We get so far away from the Most High. And then people want to know why they can't feel his presence, or why I don't feel the spirit, or why I don't feel that God is with me. And so then they start feeling like there is no God. But the reality of it is you're removing yourself so far from him when you're not embracing the very things that he tells you to do for you to draw nearer to him and for him to draw nearer to you and to fill you with his ruach. So the reason why some of us starting to feel be stronger in our ruach is because, at least like Elder Herman told Imam Audrey when they came away from the church, let us get here and study the word, and what we know to be true, that's what we're going to do. So the one thing Elder Herman said he knew to be true was Shabbat. So they started doing that. If you just start observing Shabbat and trying to keep it set apart, your ruach will start to be strengthened more and more, because as you're studying the word of Yah on a Shabbat, as you're having holy convocation and you're refraining from your own works on Shabbat, you will start to come alive in Yah, because he start filling you with his ruach. But it's also a spiritual death that's associated with breaking Shabbat, because you get caught up in the cares of the world to the point where you give no time to the Most High. Therefore, the Most High is not filling you with his ruach. And it says, 16, wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath to observe it, the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant. That word perpetual means everlasting or forever. So the covenant that man is now telling us we don't have to observe, in the Torah itself, from the word of Yah himself that he told Moses to command the children of Israel, the children of Israel, regardless of what any other nation around us is doing, the children of Israel shall keep, guard, or protect, which is the word Shamar, the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant, throughout all their generations for an everlasting covenant. That means forever. So again, when we look up words that we think that we know, look perpetual up for your own time, on your own time, and you're going to see that is an everlasting covenant. So we can't do away with the Sabbath covenant. The Roman Catholic Church cannot do away with it. The Christian Church cannot do away with it. Samak Tazawar cannot do away with it. We must teach what the word of Yah says that was supposed to be commanded to the children of Israel, because these things have utmost importance. So one thing that I want to highlight is verse 17. Why is it so important once again? 17, don't read.
It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days Yah made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed.
So what is it again? It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For 6 days Yah made heaven and earth, and all the seventh day he rested. So how is it we still can't comprehend that? Because in the commandments itself, it's still referencing, this is what I did on the seventh day. It's written in Genesis, but people still say it's not. Genesis 2 ain't talking about the Sabbath. The Sabbath is still, I mean, Yah real clear. He's very clear. So it said, it is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever, an everlasting covenant. For 6 days, he did all his works and he rested and he hallowed that day. And this is the day that we're supposed to worship. That's why it's so important, because it is a sign between Israel and Yah. Are we Yah's people or not? Yah says, you are my children if you do what? Keep my commandments. And so the Sabbath is one that he's already told us. There is a sign associated with keeping Sabbath, and there's also a sign associated with breaking Sabbath. So breaking Sabbath means you're marked with wickedness, and keeping Sabbath means you're marked with the sign of the covenant between Yah and Israel. Verse 18, Adon.
And he gave unto Moses, when he had made an end of communion with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone written with the finger of Elohim.
Hallelujah. So we see here that the Most High then gave Moses the tables of stone, which we know are what the commandments were written on, to bring back down to give to the children of Israel. I'm going to go to one of the prophets, and then I'm going to go to one of the prophets, and I'm going to get one thing out of the New Testament, and we're going to yield at this point for this portion of the day. But I just want to start building the importance of these feast days. So let's jump to the book of Yechezkel or Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 20, and I want verses 12, start with verse 12, and we're going to go to about verse 20. And I'm not going to go into the timeline now because I'm focused specifically on the feast days. But one thing that we need to do is a timeline study also is to show how many years after it was prophesied when Moses was given these commandments to give to Israel, and how long was it from that time to when Ezekiel was prophesying, because all that stuff has a great weight for us to understand the importance of these days as well, and to see that they were never done away with. So Ezekiel, Yekizakal, chapter 20, start with verse 12.
Moreover, also I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I'm Yah that sanctified them.
So it says, moreover, I gave them my Sabbaths, my Moedim or my set apart Sabbaths to be a sign. So why is Sabbaths plural here? I'll answer. It's plural because not only is there a weekly Sabbath, there's also what? Annual Sabbaths. There are feast days that you keep throughout the year. So all the Sabbaths that the Most High has appointed, we're supposed to observe. So we get to some of the other Sabbaths next week, but Most High willing, but I just want to cover that. Yes, there are Sabbaths, which are going to be the weekly Sabbaths. That is plural within itself, because it's not just one Sabbath, 1 week, and then you don't have to keep any more. So every Sabbath, every week will be a plural. Then it's going to also be the Moedim or the set apart feast days, in which some are called Sabbaths or Shabbaton. Okay, read on, Kanat. So he said, I give them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am Yah that sanctified. So remember, he already told Moses this when Moses brought the tablets down and when Moses taught the people the laws. Now, many years later, Ezekiel is prophesying, and in his prophecy, Yah still saying what? The same thing. My Sabbath is a sign. Read on.
But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness.
So it's nothing new under the sun. What do we do today when we tell people about keeping Shabbat? We can worship all every day. We don't have to do that. Y'all be there too long. All the negative that we hear about how we trying to worship the Most High. But the reality of it is, I remember when I think Zamir was a little younger, when she was giving her little math equation, we was trying to figure out just the hours. Like, y'all give us so many hours in a week just to do whatever we got to do. And all he commands is for 24 hours. I mean, it's not really even fair when you really look at it. When you really look at it, it's not even really a fair trade. Yah has given us so many hours out of the week. Y'all know it's 24 hours in a day. So y'all help me with the math, students. So 6 days that are 24 hours in a day, Yah gives us that many hours or that many minutes. And all he commands from us is what? 24 out of all the hours of a week. I want this day totally dedicated to me, and people say we be in too long. But we're so far away from Yah that we need to be learning as much as we can about our heritage, culture, and about our Father. So it says, I gave them my statutes and showed them, Shlika, wrong verse. But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness, so they still rebelling today. Read on, Kanah.
They walked not in my statutes, and they despised my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. And my Sabbaths they greatly polluted. Then
so read that last little part again.
Which if a man do, he shall live in them.
So they rebelled against my commandments. That I say if a man do, they should live in them. I just want to jump real quick to Galatians 3. Abadal, I heard you say, you already know what's going on, ain't it? So Galatians 3, and let's just start at verse 10. I'm not going to go into the whole understanding of this right now, but I know a lot of people are familiar with this, and this is where people in the church community will use to justify the laws are done away with. We don't have to keep no Sabbath, but I want to always understand there's a parallel between the Old Testament and the New Testament. In order to properly understand what's being said in the New Testament, you have to have a sound foundation in the Torah and Tanakh. So let's start at 3 and 10 of Galatians.
For as many as are of the works of the law are under the curse, for it is written, cursed is everyone that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them.
So they jump here. Cursed is the man that's keeping the laws. Y'all put yourself back under a curse. So if you try to do them works, you're cursed. Read on.
For it is written, cursed is everyone that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. But that no man is justified by the law in the sight of Elohim, it is evident. For the just shall live by faith.
So it says, but that no man is justified by the law or the Torah in the sight of Elohim, it is evident, for the just shall live by faith. So it's about your faith. All you gotta do is have faith and believe, and you shall be saved. So you don't have to do nothing but have faith. But faith is an action word. Faith will produce an action. Yeah, we're not justified by just keeping Sabbath, because if our heart is still filthy, we just look good in front of each other. The Most High still know we ain't right. But when you read this, can you hear how, and they have a valid reason for thinking like this, because when a teacher is teaching them this, and they don't know the Torah because they're told not to go to the Old Testament, they don't understand how they've been duped. So they feel like keeping the law is now a burden, keeping the law is a curse, and therefore the man that do them, you know what I'm saying, is cursed. But it said the just shall live by faith. So you're not justified by the law, which is true. You're not justified by the law. You're justified by your belief. And if you believe, then you will actually do what you believe. But let the word speak for itself. Read.
And the law is not of faith, but the man that doeth them shall live in them.
The law is not of faith. Did Maury Dawood just not on gift study teach about faith? The law is not of faith. The law is the commands of the Most High. Here's what it is. Now, do you believe in Yah or not? So if you don't believe in Yah, there's no need to keep them laws, because the law is not about faith. But if you do believe in Yah, what do you need to do? Yah say do this. Do we believe Yah say do this? I believe Yah say do, because I just read it. As Anna was saying, my relationship got closer the more I started to read. So the reason why I want to do it is because I read for myself. The Most High told Moses, the Most High told Ezekiel, the Most High said, I rested, and you shall do this, and it should be an everlasting covenant. So I believe this to be the word of the Most High. I believe the Most High said it. So the law is not of faith. The law is the word of Yah. But the just shall live by what? By faith. If you believe this to be the word of Yah, then you're justified. And then if you believe it to be the word of Yah, then you will what? Do what Yah says. So when they come here to say that the just shall live by faith, let's now go back to where we were at in Yekizakal, Ezekiel. Because that statement was already made that the just shall live by faith. Those that do it shall live. Where we at? On 13? Yep. Take it from the top again, verse 13.
But the house of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. They walked not in my statutes, and they despised my judgments, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. That's the same they say in Galatians. If the man do them, they should what? They should live in them. In verse 12, if the man do them, they should live in them. If a man believes in the Most High, he believes in the word of the Most High, and he keeps these commandments, he shall live in them. Why? Because that is eternal life in the relationship with Yah and keeping his commandments. So read on, Kanai. And my Sabbath they greatly polluted. But they didn't believe. They didn't do them. My Sabbath they greatly polluted. Read. Then I said, I will pour out my fury upon them in the wilderness to consume them. But I wrought for my name's sake that it should not be polluted before the heathen, in whose sight I brought them out. Yet also I lift up my hand unto them in the wilderness, that I would not bring them into the land which I had given them, flowing with milk and honey, which is the glory of all lands. Because they despised my judgments and walked not in my statutes, but polluted my Sabbaths, for their heart went after their idols. Nevertheless, might I spare them from destroying them, neither did I make an end of them in the wilderness. But I said unto their children in the wilderness, walk ye not in the statutes of your fathers, neither observe their judgments, nor defile yourselves with their idols. Hallelujah. So the Most High said, but Israel did not obey. They did not keep his Sabbath. They defiled his name in front of the heathens by not even obeying. Like, you are my people. I delivered you, and y'all get out here to still do what? Whatever we want. Just wicked. So y'all actually made y'all look bad. Israel made y'all look bad. It's basically what he said. Y'all defiled my name. But he said, I still did not totally destroy you.
Because of his love and his compassion, he still brought them out. But in verse, he says, 17, nevertheless, mine eyes spared them from destroying them, neither did I make an end of them in the wilderness. But I said unto their children in the wilderness, walk ye not in the statutes of your fathers, neither observe their judgments, nor defile yourself with their idols. I am Yah your Elohim. Walk in my statutes and keep my judgments and do them. And verse 20, and hallow my Sabbaths, and they shall be a sign between me and you, that ye may know that I am Yahuwah your Elohim. Hallelujah. So again, you know how some people want to still say, well, this is what my parents and my grandparents, my great-greats did. The word itself says, Yah himself says what? If your parents were wrong, your grandparents were wrong, do not walk in their statutes and their commandments. Walk in the commandments of the Most High. Do not break Shabbat, return to Shabbat. So in this generation we're in, we should be really trying to get people to actually what? Return to Shabbat. But we need to know the precepts and the scriptures to show them the word of the Most High, seasoned with love and compassion, and also show them the delight in Sabbath keeping, the joy that we get, how we can almost hate to separate when Sabbath is over to go back to our homes because we love being in the presence of like-minded believers on Sabbath. We have to show the beauty of Sabbath and also show the promise of Sabbath, the promise of a sign between Yah and being under covenant with Yah, and Yah being our provider, our protector, our healer. All those things are going to be based on the Sabbath and the importance of Shabbat keeping. One chapter I'm going to get, and then I'm going to yield to Elder Yaquab. Let's jump to Matthew chapter 12, verses 1 through 8. I just want to get just some New Testament just on it for a moment, because there's some confusion when we go to the New Testament sometimes as to what's actually being said. So let's go to Matthew chapter 12. Start at verse 1. We're going to go 1 through 8, and then we're going to yield.
At that time, Yahushua went on the Sabbath day through the corn, and his disciples were hungry, and began to pluck the ears of corn and to eat. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, behold, your disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day. And he said unto them, have you not read what David did when he was hungry, and they that were with him, how he entered into the house of Elohim and did eat the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, neither for them which were with him, but only for the priests? Or have you not read in the law how that on the Sabbath days the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are blameless? But I say unto you that in this place is one greater than the temple. But if you had known what this meaneth, I'll have mercy and not sacrifice, you would have not condemned the guiltless. For the Son of Man is master even of the Sabbath day.
Okay, so the Mashiach, you know, he's the master of the Sabbath day. And what he was trying to do was correct people for being over judgmental on the Sabbath day. So one thing that we do on this side is once we come to Sabbath, sometimes we're too over judgmental with how people keep Sabbath, or what we see someone doing on Sabbath that we may not fully understand what they're doing. I won't get to it today, but it says, is it wrong to do good on the Sabbath day? And if we read a little bit further in Matthew chapter 12, you're going to see more of it come out. But the Sabbath day is a day of worshiping Yah. It's a day of loving on your family and your mishpachah. It's a day of having a holy convocation, but it's a day also of doing good works. So sometimes, you know, there are laws on Sabbath that we should not break, but then there's sometimes where the grace of Yah applies on Sabbath, that if there was someone that did not get to eat, you know, we don't want them just to starve on Sabbath, because for one, a lot of people don't know it. Like I didn't know it at one point, because you try to be as holy as you possibly can on Sabbath. So, you know, one time I used to try to fast on Sabbath, trying to be as holy as I can. The Most High actually don't want us to fast on Sabbath. The Sabbath is not a day for fasting, except for one specific Sabbath, which is the Day of Atonement. But the weekly Sabbath is not a day for fasting. And I can cover that at a later date. But the point is, if there was someone destitute of food, him and his disciples have been going to and fro, preaching the what? The good news. They haven't had anything to eat. So they're coming through, because they actually are pretty much at this time somewhat, what would be the term? Nomad? Nomad is someone that wonders about. They don't have a place to, that's nomad, right? They're somewhat nomadic, because they're always traveling. They're on the road. So they're not at a home, you know what I'm saying, to prepare something. We're going to this city, now we're going on to this city, and we're just teaching the word. Man, you see what time it is already? We ain't had nothing to eat. Now, of course, we know Messiah, he was fine, but the men were still flesh. So they what? Oh, food. And they just grabbed the corn. They ain't cooking it up. Look, y'all know how when we was little, there used to be corn over there. We take it and just bite right into it. But they did what? They picked some corn, shucked some corn, and did what? We hungry. They ate some corn. So now people looking at it like they're working. No, we're not farming today. We're not trying to do a whole harvest today. We needed something to eat. We eat the food. That's what we're doing. We're not trying to break Sabbath, but we've been doing this work. So therefore, we just end up getting a little hungry. We didn't have anyone fix us meal. So this is what we're doing. So what the Messiah also wants us to understand is the Sabbath is for good. And sometimes there are things that are on the Sabbath that sometimes we put too many restraints on, or the way we judge others. And what the Messiah is trying to get us to understand also, to be able to judge with a spiritual eye, to make righteous judgment, and to know that it's good to do good on the Sabbath day. If your ox is in the ditch, do you let them stay in the ditch and drown on the Sabbath? No, you do what? You get them out. You could have had your garment on, about to get out and head to service, and be like, goodness gracious, my ox over there in the ditch. So if I go get him out in this garment, I'm gonna get muddy. So what you gotta do? Go back in, change clothes, go out, get him out, get sweaty. You got to go back in and get washed up again to even still try to get to synagogue, even if you still would have make it or not. But would the Most High knock you for doing so? No. So the Most High still want us to be spiritual with wisdom, be spiritual and know how to apply these laws. We shouldn't be willingly breaking Sabbath, but we should understand the benefits, the importance of the Sabbath. And so again, this is the introduction to feast days and the importance of the feast days, with the Sabbath being number one on the list, because the Sabbath is the day that Yah made for us to learn of him, to worship him. It's a sign between Yah and his children for a perpetual everlasting covenant. So it's a sign that we are Yah's children, or we are seeking Yah and we are accepting him as our Father. We're trying to walk in obedience to him. And the Sabbath is going to be the day in which we learn about all the other feasts, all the other commandments, and how to keep the feast days when they come in their appointed season each year, how to keep them set apart and to keep them holy. So with that, I pray and I hope everyone got some wisdom, knowledge, and understanding on the importance of the feast days at this introductory level. And we will continue on next week, most I will, and doing the culture portion. And I'm going to close this out. Let me look at the screen. All right. And I know that some are newer. So before I do give the floor over to the Zakane, does anyone that's of newer understanding, that's new to the walk, have any questions that they would like me to answer in quick in regards to Sabbath before going forward? And while I'm tarrying to see if any hands come up, just know that on the Shabbat day, there's no buying and selling. So we don't go to the mall. We don't buy or sell on Shabbat. We don't cook on Shabbat. There's a preparation day. So the day before Shabbat is when we try to prepare our meals. When you go to the book of Shemot or Exodus, the 16th chapter, you can see how the test that the Most High first did with Israel when he brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim was he seen if they was going to keep the Sabbath or not. So the Sabbath is a very high day and of utmost importance, and it has very specific ordinances and commandments associated with keeping the Sabbath, and that's how you keep it set apart or holy. So again, there's no buying or selling, there's no cooking, there's no work or no servile work on Shabbat day. It is a day of worshiping the Most High, studying his word, and being in prayer to the Most High and praising and honoring him, and being with your Mishpachah on the Sabbath. And the Sabbath, as it says in the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah 58, we should call the Sabbath a delight, and we should refrain from treading upon the Most High Sabbath. So I don't see any hands coming up. I hope that this introduction to the feast days, the Moedim, and their importance has been edifying as we go into this in our culture portion, because this is one of the most important parts of our culture, is to know how to keep Shabbat, to know what the Shabbat means to Yah and his children or between them, so that we can be set apart and return to the Most High Yah. May Yah continue to be merciful upon each and every one of us. Hallelujah. Zakane, I now yield the floor to you. Zakane, all praise, honor, esteem be to the Most High.